Auburn opened up spring ball today, and we had boots on the ground on the plains. Myself and Ralph Leary talking about the Auburn spring ball report.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Coon.
All right, spring football on the plains has commenced, and we're here with the first edition of the 2025 Auburn Spring Ball Report. My name is Bryce Coon alongside Ralph Leary, where Ralph, we were both at spring practices today, but you were with one Tiger and I was with another Tiger. Ralph was on boots on the ground alongside Gavin Hart as we get ready to kind of talk about what you guys saw. You got to hear from Hugh Freeze as well, but obviously the big news we want to kind of get out of the way and talk about immediately was the news that came out, I guess, a week or two ago at this point. Hugh Freeze diagnosed with cancer. He did give kind of a quick update. And Ralph, when you and I were talking, it seemed like he was in pretty good spirits.
Yeah. So the question was asked how he was doing, and watching him on practice field, he looked great. He looked like he was in mid-season form and looked healthy. Looked very excited, very happy to be there in practice again. Say he feels great. Say he feels his best he's ever felt in his life. Best shape he's ever felt. He's had high hopes though. He gets a lot of emails every day about from doctors around the world, around the country saying we suggest you do this, and he's waiting on some more tests to see what the next step is for him. Let's see how aggressive those cancer cells can be. But he's in high hopes. He's at practice every day, and he's got these guys ready for spring ball, and this is what he really wanted to do. Focus, he doesn't want the focus on him. He wants these guys to be locked in, to learn every day, and just to get better.
Yeah, and obviously that's the big news to kind of get out of the way. Hugh Freeze doing well, and like we talked about, Auburn opening up spring football 2025 edition. Now, let's dive into what you guys saw, and let's talk about kind of the big elephant in the room here, the quarterback position. Ralph, much maligned spot last year with what Auburn had. That's the best way to probably put it. But quarterback development, we know it starts in the foundation here in the spring. You got to lay the groundwork for what you want to see during fall camp and obviously in the season. So let's talk about it. Jackson Arnold, the transfer that Auburn paid, whatever official number you want to look at, a pretty penny. Try to say that 5 times fast. A pretty penny for. You obviously have Deuce Knight, the backup. Some other names there as well. Let's start talking about Jackson Arnold, what you saw, what you like, and kind of go through that room of what you guys were able to kind of take away from day one.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Hugh Freeze said it at the Senior Bowl when they first announced that Jackson Arnold was signing with them is he does a tight spiral. He's got a beautiful ball, and he does. Saw it firsthand today. He gets the ball out quick. He's got a good read on the play. But it's so early in the season to say. And especially spring ball, first day of pads, throwing's a little more difficult with the pads on than it is,
everybody looks good in shorts and a t-shirt.
Exactly. And Houston, exactly. He's optimistic about him. He understands everything about the game because you don't become Gatorade Player of the Year for nothing. Mm-hmm. He's got great arm strength. He's moving quick through the plays. He understands what's going on. His pocket presence when they had the ones against the ones today. He said his pocket presence was great when they had some pretty good pass rush on him. The ability to run the ball last year with Peyton Thorne was there. He just chose to run at the wrong time a lot. But yeah. I feel like he's very high that Jackson Arnold will run, in the time he's supposed to run and get the ball out when he's supposed to. And I think that's what we saw today with Arnold. And moving to with Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight the same way. They are very, very high on Deuce Knight right now in the way he's been practicing this spring so far. He's a lot bigger in person. I'll tell you that. I know he's a big kid, and seeing him, you're not used to seeing lefty quarterbacks these days. There's a handful in the country that play every day, and the way he plays, man, he's got that swagger to him. He's got a good ball too. He's tight spiral. They're hitting their receivers every time. I think Jackson Arnold had one mishap, I think, in the ones-on-ones. I'll explain that one later. Deuce wants to throw the ball as much as possible. He overthrows, not not receiver. He overthrows like during the day. He throws too much. He says. He was working with a lot of the ones today. There wasn't really the onset number one quarterback. Honestly, Arnold was taking the most snaps with the ones, and Deuce was with most of the twos, but they switched that a lot. There's only 3 quarterbacks taking snaps right now.
Gotcha.
Jackson Arnold, Deuce Knight, and John Colvin, the walk on. And I'll mention just Ashton Daniels is on campus. He is not practicing at the time because I believe he's enrolled at Auburn right now. But he is there. He is very well involved in this offense right now. He's working with Deuce Nye on some plays and Jackson Arnold on some plays. He's a veteran quarterback. I mean, as much as you don't want to hear it, Ashton Daniels is a guy who could compete for a starting job at Auburn this year because the job's wide open, I think. But
Yeah.
you would think Jackson Arnold is his job to lose.
Yeah. No, I like that. You mentioned, the 3 guys that are actively practicing, and then obviously Daniel's taking what we got told a lot in high school we should do, Ralph, is taking those mental reps as well. But that's the Auburn quarterback room. And I did see a quote that got posted, and it takes us right in to kind of that second topic about the importance of this wide receiver room. Ralph, I know Auburn fans are very excited about it. So let's talk about the depth you and Gavin mentioned. It feels like there's a plethora of names that could see opportunities. And one might have to ask the question, you only have one football. How are you going to feed this many opportunities to guys that are really talented?
Yeah, you said it best. They better make plays because they're too talented not to. Obviously, you have Cam Coleman returning, a former 5-star receiver who had a great freshman campaign, battled some injuries midseason, but overall had a great season. I think as a freshman. You bring in Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech, solid receiver last year, last 2 years for them, last 3 years, I guess you'd say. He's been lights out impressive this year. His speed, it adds another step to this offense and what Hugh Freeze wants to do. Obviously bringing Malcolm Simmons, who got a lot of snaps last year as a freshman also. They're really high on him. He's working with the ones. Alongside other guys who were there, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane's injured, but he'll have some say next year. There's a lot of guys who were there. Horatio Fields coming in transfer portal from Wake Forest. Guys like that are going to play a lot. One though that stood out to me, and I'm mentioning him because we have to, is Sam Turner. I did not realize how big he was. He is a solid, fully built receiver. And the way he plays aggressively. He wants to go for the ball. He makes some great plays in the ones today. In 7-on-7, made some great plays, and he runs a great route. And I think that goes to show you what Hugh Freeze went and got him, and what they wanted to do with him in the future. I really think that this is. If I don't want to say it because there's one receiver who's just too elite to say he's better than. This by far is the best receiver room in the SEC, though. And I would say it rivals, maybe a number 1 receiver room in the country. Just barring one guy at Ohio State. That's the only reason. And I say this, and Bryce, I say this, and you know better than anybody right now, is LSU's room is really good too.
Yeah.
But I'd say right now, what Auburn has depth-wise, they all could start. They all could play. They all could contribute to the season, and it shows you what he's done in the last 2 years of recruiting. But yeah, I like this what they have this year. If you're an Auburn fan, be excited for them to throw the ball because they got 7-8 receivers who can play.
Yeah, it's about getting the ball to those guys. They need the point guard.
That's one thing he said. He goes, it all boils down to who's playing quarterback and what the quarterback can do this year for us.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty simple. Like you want to make storylines out of the spring. That's kind of where it goes, though. Obviously, here with Auburn as well. So. We talked about offense, and look, we're going to get more into the weeds as spring practice goes on the offensive line, which is a major talking point. Look, our other co-host Will, that's his bugaboo. Like nothing matters if that offensive line isn't good. We'll talk more as we see more drills throughout the spring in that. But Ralph, I want to flip over to the defensive side of the football because there's a lot of shakeup. There's a lot of guys that are not playing right now. Some big names that are maybe nursing some small injuries or just not kind of in that 1 or 2 rotation. But who are some of the guys that kind of stood out to you and just the excitement level for the second year under DJ Durkin? Remember, he got that big payday. Look, this is another opportunity for this defense that has had to carry this program at times. You kind of like what you saw. Not a big spring overreaction, but you liked what you saw there on day 1.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. It's Big Dirt, baby. They are high on DJ Durkin there. The way he is on this field, he's animated, and it shows on Saturdays this past year. Auburn's entire season last year was based around their defense and what they did. You go back to having Eugene Asante, who was there last year. He was there at practice today. A lot of these guys who did the pro day yesterday came around and watched practice, and you can see they're just still fired up for this team coming into this season, and it involves this defense mostly. A lot of returning starters who are banged up right now. DeMarcus Riddick didn't really practice much in individual work. His shoulder injury was able to do some first team and second team defense stuff, which kind of shocked me by that. I didn't understand that situation, but I guess it's more of a coverage plays. He can kind of do stuff. People stood out though. Caleb Harris had a pick six in a 7-on-7. I mean, right in front of Malcolm Simmons and took it right to the house, man. He made some great plays. I thought Jay Crawford and Kaden Lee had some great coverages on 7-on-7 and ones in full team, full 11-on-11. There's a lot of depth in that defensive line this year, and that was a question last year. What can they bring in defensive linemen? Amaris Williams, they convinced him to stay. You got Jamison Travis, Zacchaeus Walker, and Karon Crawford, who were step up this year and make plays.
Yeah.
Keldrick Falk, obviously, the initial returner on this defensive line. He was banged up today a little bit, didn't practice very much, but what he can do on Saturdays. We saw it last year. As a sophomore. The linebacker position, though, Bryce, is where this defense questions at. Robert Woodyard's there, Xavier Atkins, Elijah Melendez. Those three guys are going to be battling for this linebacker position. Who can step up and make the plays for them on Saturdays. I don't think you'll find that in spring ball right now. That's a decision being made in the fall, in my opinion. You're just getting the guys rotating in and getting snaps and getting reps and just seeing what they can do on the field right now, and then what they do in the fall will change the entire enlightenment of this defense. But secondary wise, Auburn's loaded. I really do think so. Jay Crawford's young, and Champ Anthony's hurt, and he's still one of the better guys in this defense. They bring us a lot of good young guys in. Obviously, Eric Winter's coming, and he practiced a lot today. Anquan Fagans, I don't think I saw him practice much today. I mean, he was there. I couldn't really see him out there as much. There's a lot going on at these spring practice.
Day one's a lot.
A lot of media, a lot of people walking around, a lot of recruits. It was a lot going on, but Auburn's how this defense definitely showed out today, and DJ Durkin let him know. He was very excited, very animated, and there weren't many questions asked to Hugh about defense today, because everyone knows what Durkin's got in his on his side of the ball, and the big question is the offense right now. So, but defensively, Auburn's very good. I thought a lot of these younger guys they're going to contribute. And I think they will. May Seymour has some pretty good plays out in coverage today. Obviously, the transfer from Georgia Tech also. Xavier Atkins, he's fast, headhunter kind of guy, was out there. He just seems a little undersized to be playing middle linebacker.
Yeah. No, I mean, you transfer from LSU, obviously trying to get a change of scenery, was really going to be kind of down on the depth chart. And like you mentioned, really didn't play a lot last year, redshirted last year. You have Elijah Melendez, who was a high 4-star player that obviously, into the fray. So it's an infusion, I think, Ralph, on that defensive side, to kind of put a bow on it, of young talent, but some really good veteran players as well. And you obviously kind of hope that carries it the rest of the way. But hey, Auburn spring ball, day one in the books. And look, we talked here for almost 16 minutes for just 20 minutes of a viewing period. So yes, it is a lot going on there on day one as well. But that's the Auburn spring ball report. My name is Bryce Kuhn. That is Ralph Leary. And we'll have much more coming from the Plains as spring ball rolls along. That and other college football content as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and check us out on all those platforms here on today's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Kuhn.